Let's kick shell!
Hello, Cheapario here, and today we're doing another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toy unboxing, this time from Neca Toys. So the representation of this set is all 4 turtles from the Mirage comic line that came out back in the 1980s. And this comic book storyline was done by the original creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, and it was based on the Return to New York storyline, where the Turtles had to retreat from New York and then come back and fight against Shredder's clones, as you can see here on the box. Now, I was on the fence about this one. This retails for about $150, and you can find it at Target. And unfortunately, I'll show you the box, but in terms of the state of the box, it's pretty beat up coming out of the store. But I see that the set comes and goes in terms of being in stock online, so I thought, why not, and pick it up. Now, the reason that I purchased this is because, in my opinion, this is probably the closest representation of getting the Turtles as they are regularly drawn by Kevin Eastman, one of the creators. So if you're able to ever meet Kevin Eastman at one of a Comic-Con or convention of some sort, he'll draw the Turtles, and he draws them just like this. So without further ado, I'll show you what's inside of the box. I'll also kind of do a rotation of the box so you can see how it looks, and then we'll go ahead and do an unboxing. So there's a flap right here that you can pull down, and you can see the 4 turtles. Now, of course, they've got their red bandanas. They all kind of look similar, but as you can look more closely, you can see they've got like different scrapes and scratches and cuts on their bodies. So there's different textures throughout each of the different turtles, and then even the facial expressions are different on each turtle. And there's plenty of accessories in terms of ninja stars, and you've got all their classic weapons, and you've even got the hoodie, kind of this like hoodie up here that I believe Raphael wore when he was kind of walking around the sewers, and some of the panels you kind of see that he's kind of got more of that hood on top of his head. So I really like the designs here, but I will say that the reason that I purchased this is I want an accurate representation of how Kevin Eastman draws the Turtles. So there's, on the bottom here, there's kind of like almost like a bottom piece that you can use to display the Turtles, almost like a floor, so to speak. So we're going to put the flap back up. You're going to take a look at the side. You've got the pictures of the Turtles. On the back, you've got them fighting the Mirage foot soldiers, and then there's other figures in the line, which of course it's not just limited to those. Of course, you've got April. These are just some of them. And if we're going through each one of them, you've got Shredder, Casey Jones, you've got Splinter, you've got the clones, so you've got plenty of different figures to choose from, but I just wanted the Turtles. On the other side, you got the other 2 turtles, and on the top, you've got the Mirage logo that was used for Ninja Turtles back in the day. And on the bottom, just your regular terms and conditions. So without further ado, let's get this open and see the accessories. So kind of the back slip inside of the box is actually a panel from the comic book, and this depicts from that Return to New York storyline where Shredder had already been killed, and that happened well into the first issue of Ninja Turtles. But when they go back to New York, they find that he's been brought back to life through cloning, kind of like pieced back together because he had been involved in an explosion. So Leonardo faces off against Shredder. Leonardo kills the Shredder, and then they burn his body in this kind of funeral remembrance to him in the New York harbor. And as you can see here, they still kept the helmet. So that's a depiction from the comic book. This is really beat up, and I'm holding it because it's going to fall down. But not something I will keep, but for those collectors, might want to hold on to this in terms of what comes out of the box. Splinter taught them to be a ninja team, and look at that. They look great. So out of the box, in terms of knowing which turtle's which, between Raphael and Michelangelo, you can't tell the difference per se, but for Leonardo and Donatello, it's more clear. So with Leonardo, based on his belt, of course, you can be able to tell that this belt is for his katana blades, so his swords. And for Donatello, for his staff, same thing in terms of seeing the back of the shell and seeing that it's for the bow. And of course, each turtle has got that little tail, and it doesn't really, oh, it has some posability. So you can actually pose the tail, and it has full, at least 180-degree movement. Actually, full 360. Probably don't want to turn that all the way. But they've got their little tails. They've got plenty of action features. Neca Toys just really brings it with these figures. In terms of just the level of posability with the figures, you've got full articulation throughout in both the knee joints, the legs, the feet can have joints themselves, so that you can kind of have a little bit of placement. They can turn in terms of posability of the feet. You've got posability of the hands, the forearms, the full arm itself, the head, and of course it's got a bit of an ab crunch, so you can get really a lot of those action features. And the textures go throughout. There isn't anything that has any type of absence to texture throughout the figures. Just excellent figures. They're weighty. Just a great representation of this period in the comic industry for the Ninja Turtles. And they're accurate representations as I wanted them to be for the way that Kevin Eastman draws them. And highly recommend these figures, guys. They are retailing for about $149.99 at Target. You get the 4 turtles, and you get plenty of accessories. And in terms of the accessories, you've got plenty of different hands. And it looks like for some of the hands themselves, they might have a better placement, as you can see there, for some of the weapons in terms of how they grasp them. I will say that it comes with 3 ninja stars, but the only way for them to hold the ninja stars is with changing out the hand. So you can see there, that's the only way they'll be able to hold those ninja stars. It's got an arm, the separate piece with a bandage. I don't know if that is supposed to be Raphael's or if that's supposed to be Leonardo's arm. I do remember that in the Return to New York storyline, when they left New York and went to that rural cabin, Raphael and Leonardo got into a fight, and Raphael knocked out Leonardo unconscious. So I don't know if that was the bandage from Leonardo, if that was Raphael's bandage. I'd have to go back and take a look at the comics. But not only just going back to the comics themselves, guys, in terms of the look and representation, but if you remember, if you purchased a Game Boy game or Sega or NES games back then, you weren't, even though the games were based more off of the cartoons of the late 80s, early 90s of the Ninja Turtles, the pictures on the game boxes themselves were of the comic versions with the rim bandanas, or at a minimum, they had the designs that were done by Kevin Eastman. So this is really a harken back to those designs to make me feel as if I'm buying the Game Boy game again. I'm seeing those designs on the box. That's a perfect representation. In terms of the texture on the weapons themselves, clearly highly designed. They don't fit that well into the hands themselves, as you can see there. As long as they're staying stationary, they're not going to move so much, but if you're going to kind of pose them out a little bit, they're going to jiggle. The texture on the weapons themselves are great. You can see the Sai right there. Michelangelo with his nunchucks. There is no texture on the nunchucks themselves, but as you can clearly see, they fit great with the figure, and you can get plenty of posability with them. Moving on in terms of Donatello's staff, you can see here he's got the texture throughout, and it looks great. The colors are great in terms of more of those earthy colors to all the weapons. And then with Leonardo's swords, as you can see there, there's coloration blending between this white and blue to kind of give in that sheen look to the swords, as if they're giving a reflection. So excellent, everything from the weapons to the belts, to the harnesses, to the, and I'll get into the bandanas. So the bandanas that they're on the figures themselves are more stationary. They kind of curve around the head, and they've got this flexible vinyl to it. So they can kind of go off of the arm. They can go around the neck. They can go around the back. But these bandanas are meant to be more stationary. But, of course, you have replacements that are kind of flatter, so they're meant to give more of an action pose that you can replace them to. So if they're in an action pose and they're more of a jumping or meant to attack, this gives the impression that it's right behind their head and there's like a wind blowing. So this is more of an action feature bandana. So can't say enough great things about these figures, guys. They're great for the price, $150 for these highly detailed figures. Go out, purchase them. They're not going to be scaled great with some of the Playmates, accessories, and vehicles. But then again, I think Neca is bringing out some vehicles specifically for their size and scale for these figures. So that does it for me, guys. Like and subscribe. Cowabunga, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.